Welcome to the Career Hub interview series. I'm Rogerson Bandam, and today I'm interviewing attorney Zach Trapp. So, what does a day look like in your profession, and what do you specialize in?
So I'll start by letting everyone know exactly kind of what I do, because I'm a lawyer, number one. Been a lawyer for 9 years. I work at a law firm, McEwan, Martinez, Dukes Hall, and Vancol in downtown Orlando. We sort of specialize in medical malpractice defense. So we represent doctors, physician assistants, ARMPs, nurses, even some medical assistants sometimes. So that's sort of what we do. We represent them when they're being sued by an old patient or someone they saw at the hospital alleging that they got some sort of injury as a result of the medical care they received. So that's what I do. I've been doing it for 9 years. I love the job, actually. I didn't plan for this, but I love it because I get to work with these individuals every day, helping solve their problems from a sort of a legal perspective. We get to meet with them in person. I get to go to their offices. I get to go to the courtroom with them. I get to go to the hospitals. So doing things like that is fun, and it changes on a daily basis, so it's really enjoyable.
So, what inspired you to be a lawyer?
Well, my dad, for sure, he's a lawyer. I didn't necessarily know I wanted to be a lawyer until I completed undergrad. I played basketball throughout college, so that sort of didn't plan ahead like I should have. But my first job was at a law firm, and I liked it. So I studied for the LSAT, then I started looking for law schools in Central Florida area. And then I completed law school, and then one of the first jobs that hired me, which is this job, I took, and I've loved it ever since.
What are the steps, or I guess career path it took for you to get to becoming a lawyer?
So there's some required steps that you have to take. That's a good question because a lot of people don't know this when they say they want to be a lawyer when they're little. It requires a lot of extra schooling. So number one, you have to have a high school diploma. You have to have a 4-year college degree. It doesn't necessarily matter what it's in. Mine was in business. It didn't help or hurt, but just having a really good GPA is what matters. And then after law school, you have to take an LSAT. It's called the LSAT, which is a standardized test that you have to score a certain amount on to get into law schools. The higher, the better. So Harvard, Yale, those are going to have the highest standards. And then that's just one test. You get a score on it, and then you get admitted to law school, which is 3 years. You can do it quickly and do it in 2.5, or you can do it a little bit slower and do it in 4. But in general, it's 3 years of school. There's no particular internships or anything that are required, but those help a lot. So that's what I'd recommend doing. And then after law school, the hardest thing that you have to do is take the bar exam. So if I want to practice here in Florida, I have to take the Florida bar exam. If you wanted to practice in New York, California, you have to take New York, California bar exams, and they're all a little bit different. That's what law school prepares you to do, and that's actually probably the hardest thing to do in this process. But the only other piece I would recommend that people do is this: sit down and meet with lawyers. Try to work in the law firm or the courthouse or something in that field, so that you have an idea about what you want to do, and those help you get into college or get into law.
So earlier you mentioned that you specialize in medical malpractice law. What inspired you to move into specialization?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know this really was a particular area of law before I even became or started working at this law firm or interviewing with this law firm. In law school, you can take an elective class that's called medical malpractice. And they cover it very, very minimally with the bar prep stuff, but it wasn't an area that I was particularly aware of or necessarily loved before working here. But what I did know I wanted to do was litigation, which is technically what this is. So everything that we're doing and what I do is in the court system. So I'm arguing hearings in front of judges and other attorneys. I'm going to trial with judges and other attorneys. So I knew I wanted to do that, and I'm actually lucky that I got placed at this firm because we get to work with doctors who are, instead of representing, in an auto accident, you're representing the insurance company. I'm representing these doctors that's a little bit more impactful.
Yeah, so on that topic, what do you find the most rewarding about being a lawyer?
Yeah, that's a good follow-up question, because I think that's one of the most rewarding things is actually you are literally helping individuals. It's a lot of times these doctors, nurses, they don't really obviously don't get to choose choose who their patients are, number one, and they don't get to choose who's going to sue them or not. So a lot of times this is a complete surprise to these doctors that are getting sued, and they don't know what to do. Understandably, this is not their area of practice, so our firm gets hired to assist them with that. And 90% of the time, the doctors are super thankful and appreciative. Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes they've been sued a bunch and they understand the process. But most of the time, it's very rewarding, and the doctors and our clients are very appreciative.
Finally, what challenges do you face in your day-to-day work?
Oh man, that's a good question too, because it changes every day. There's number one. The other part I like about this job, which is challenging, is one, you got to learn the medicine a little bit, at least to talk to doctors about it. And then you also have to learn the law and understand the law. And that changes every day. It's just as medicine changes every day. So, I could pick out a handful of cases, but for an example, if I'm going to take a deposition of a foot surgeon about how to properly do a big toe surgery, I got to learn all about how to do the surgery. I got to learn the other options. I got to talk to our doctor about what this expert's going to say and how they're going to say it, so that I can ask this guy questions about it. So there's learning the medicine, learning the law is always challenging, and just sometimes, which is also a good part of the job at times as well, but just dealing with other lawyers, it can be difficult. Some lawyers like to be difficult on purpose. But it's part of the gig, sort of, and I enjoy it.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.